All right, boys and girls. We're going to talk about the Sonus Faber Sonetto VIII G2. So we did an unboxing video of a bunch of the new sonettos that came out. Maybe Curtis can put the link in the description below. If you are craving a withdrawal, you're suffering withdrawal of watching our unboxing, watch that one. Anyway, the Sonetto 8 is the top of the line in this series. The G2 stands for Generation 2, the newest version. What's interesting is that the Sonetto incorporates some incredible, remarkable improvements that come directly from the Suprema speakers. The Suprema is basically the top of the line. It's 4 chassis, 4 enclosures with an external crossover. Very, very sophisticated, very, very complicated system. Costs $700,000-800,000 US. So let me just detail some of the things that the Sonetto 8 has that come as a direct result of the Suprema. First of all, the mid-range driver. It is a 6.5-inch camellia mid-range. So camellia is the name of a flower that is found in, I believe, northern Italy. The petals are like 5. What do you call it? 5. Anyway, I'm loss of words. And through simulation and actual production, Sonus Faber design team discovered that this shape, this 5-petal design, reduced the kinds of typical resonances that a typical circular cone has. And so they stuck with that. So that was first introduced in the Suprema, and now it's in the Sonetto 8. Now, keep in mind, the more expensive speakers don't have this. For example, the Nova doesn't have it. Now, that's because the Nova is an older series. The anniversary series, the Mahdi's and the Omar series, they don't have it. Again, because they came out first. This this Sonetto series has that, so very cool. There are 2 8-inch woofers and then one 1.1-inch tweeter. Then inside the cabinet, the tweeter and the mid-range drivers are housed in a cork enclosure. So the actual material of the enclosure is not MDF like typically 99% of all speakers. It's actually made of cork. And it almost looks like it's 3D printed. It could well be. And if you look at the inside of the enclosure, the cork enclosure, there are no parallel surfaces. There's no regular surfaces. It's designed specifically to break up energy and to give ultimately the best possible sound. Then the other thing also is that at the bottom of the cabinet is a concrete base. The specifications are 33 to 40 kilohertz, 90 dB sensitivity, 4 ohms, and it's 99.21 pounds or 45 kilograms. Sorry. Price is $79.99 US, 8,000 US, or 11,200 Canadian. Okay, so not inexpensive, but this is the top of the line in this series. Now, the system I use was the Accuphase E280 integrated, the Hagel H190V integrated, Hagel H400 integrated, Macintosh MA352, the integrated as well, and then the Eversolo A8 streamer DAC. I mentioned earlier that I've been, David Solomon of Cobas shared all these wonderful playlists with us, and I've been having a blast going through them and listening to a lot of music. Some I already knew, but a lot I didn't, so I've just been having a great time. And again, for those of you who are interested, he's saying you can absolutely download it for free. Just go to Cobas and search for the playlists. Again, watch the video that I uploaded earlier. It's called, I don't know what it's called, playlist for free, something like that. All right, here are some examples of music that I use from those playlists. First cut is The Dimming by Ozone Squeeze. Now, back in the early days of CDs and so on, there's no way if I walked into the store I would have bought this CD because the cover wouldn't have attracted me, and a group called Ozone Squeeze, and if the CD cost $35, I would just, no. But with the streaming, you can just play it and go, oh, I like that. And then if you decide, you can buy it. It's the dimming is essentially smooth jazz. Very easy to listen to. I had it playing when I was as part of the warm-up, And I was just really enjoying it. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. I was really enjoying it. It was just grooving. I was just enjoying it. And then I was thinking, this sound reminds me of old Sonus Faber, back in the 80s and early 90s. It has that very rich, relaxing, sweet, forgiving sound with lots of detail, but detail was never the most important thing. The most important thing was to get you to enjoy the music. And that's what I was thinking. And then suddenly around 2 minutes and 45 seconds, boom, bass came in and I woke up. I go, wow, what was that? It was stunning. And the first thought that went through my mind right after that was, these aren't like the old Sonus Fabers. So those of you, again, who go back long enough, you will know what I'm talking about. Early Sonus Fabers, especially Sonus Fabers that were designed by Franco Serblin, the founder and chief designer back then, their speakers were all of the things that I just described. But deep, powerful bass, deep, dynamic, powerful bass wasn't something that you would associate with those speakers. They had some deep bass, not dynamic, and certainly not powerful. You could crank it, but again, the bass, this one for $8,000 US, wow, very impressive. And that's when I started getting excited. I was thinking, oh wow, if this is what it can do, it can go from being sweet and soft and forgiving and relaxing, and because it's all in the recording, to suddenly waking you up with some serious deep bass. I'm excited. So then I put on Queen Mary by Francine 13. Again, part of the playlists that David Solomon had compiled. Big soundstage. Went from the sound being between the speakers for the first track that I mentioned, so suddenly huge panoramic soundstage, very powerful percussive rhythm, deep, powerful bass like before, but now it's just not just every 1 minute or so, it's like it's constant. This is the rhythm. This is the foundation of music. Well defined. That's the other thing. Some systems, some speakers, they have deep, powerful bass, but it's not clear, it's not defined, it doesn't start and stop well. Not with the Sonus Faber. You have all of that. And also, when I turned up the volume, the bass did not color the mid-range or the lower mid-range. Sometimes when you're really pounding the bass, it affects the lower mid-range. Not in this case, not even the slightest bit. And I didn't have that sweet, soft sound anymore. It was like a chameleon. It reacted to whatever the recording was. The first cut was softer, sweeter, somewhat veiled, relaxing, easy to enjoy, and suddenly transparent, clear, dynamic, powerful, all those things that audiophiles love. This is a great cut, by the way. And I put down here, absolutely magnificent. And then I put down here again, previous Sonus Faber couldn't have done this. And it's true. So then I decided, time for some jazz. Carla Bley, Andy Shepard, Steve Swallow, Life Goes On. Carla Bley was the wife of Paul Bley. Paul Bley was a Canadian musician, and Carla plays the piano. So in this particular cut, it starts off with her just basically gently playing a bluesy piano riff, just by herself. Just starts off very relaxing, very bluesy. And then about a minute and a half into it, Steve Swallow comes in with his electric bass. And it's such a contrast. You have an acoustic piano, and suddenly you have an electronic bass. It's not a string bass, an electronic bass. It's almost out of sorts. I kind of expected a string bass, but no, I was like, whoa, this is interesting. And the difference in tones are so obvious. Kudos to the clarity and transparency of the speakers. There's no denying that that is an electric bass. How could you not, how do you mistake it? Bass was, again, muscular, and again, he's using the bass to shape the music. That's the fundamentals. That's what it's propulsing. It's pushing the music along in terms of its rhythm. And then finally, Andy Shepard comes in with his tenor saxophone. And again, the contrast in terms of acoustic sound versus electric sound is so different. that it's not jarring, but very interesting to enjoy it. And it's a beautiful piece of music. That's the other thing. It almost sounds like the three of them have known each other for a very long time. They've played together for a very long time, and so they know each other's little nuances and the way they play and how they want to take over from each other. It is so organic, the three of them together. I really, really enjoyed this piece of music. All right, so right after this, I said, okay, time to play some rock. Let's see if these speakers can play good old-fashioned rock and roll. So I decided Led Zeppelin, Moby Dick, live at the Madison Square Garden, 1973. Old-timers who love Led Zeppelin know this is the preeminent drum solo cut, right? The band comes in, plays for about a minute or 2 minutes, and then they walk off the stage. And then John Bonham shows off why he is considered one of the best drummers ever, not just in rock and roll, ever. I mean, he starts going with all kinds of incredibly complicated rhythms, patterns, sometimes very, very simple, and then it explodes into all sorts. All the while, he's maintaining the same speed. He doesn't lose his timing. The guy is unbelievable for about 10 minutes, all by himself. And then the band gets back together, and then they join him. It's like, how did they do this? How did they know exactly when to come back in? It's like unbelievable. What I love about this cut is the incredible dynamic swings from soft to loud. Even though, unfortunately, this recording is somewhat compressed, you can still get a good sense of the dynamic contrast, and I really enjoyed that. You can also hear how the drum kits were not as transparent as, for example, the cymbals. The hi-hats, for some reason, those sound better and more real as opposed to the drum kits. But in any case, absolutely loved it. I have no issue whatsoever turning it up, turning it down. I don't know, it's just been years since I really enjoyed this particular cut as much as I did. Classical. Well, that's what Sonus Fabers do best. When it comes to acoustic music, there is none better, or very, very few better. I played Franz Liszt's Hungarian Rhapsody No. 2 with Stokowski, C-sharp minor. When you listen to other people interpret this particular piece of music, and then you listen to Stokowski, it's like, wow. He just took serious liberties with however he wanted. He reimagined how this piece of music should be done. But what's amazing is the sound of the horns and the strings, the way they interplay together, the way they do their call and follow, if you will. It's just absolutely wonderful. Stokowski leads you on almost like a roller coaster. Starts incredibly powerfully, and then very, very softly, and then fast and speed, and wow, it literally is like a roller coaster. As I said, the sound is magnificent. This is where Sonus Faber truly shines, because with acoustic instruments, there is no hiding. If a guitar doesn't sound like a guitar, if a violin doesn't sound like a violin, you'll know. And this is where it just truly shines. Soundstage, absolutely magnificent. Big, huge. I was just completely lost in the performance and presentation. So if you love classical music, you're going to love the Sonus Fabers. All right, so let's finish off with my good, bad, and ugly. Good, simply magnificent. Time and again, I get lost in the music regardless of the genre, volume, or electronics. I mentioned earlier, I tried about 5 different types of integrated amps, and consistently the speakers had this beautiful transparent quality. It showed you the differences between all the different electronics, and yet maintain this beauty, this organic quality of the sound. Bad. If I had to really split hairs, for some people it might be a touch smooth, especially if you really like a forward, distinct kind of sound. Speakers that have metal domes or beryllium, well, beryllium is metal, then you know what I'm talking about. If you are the kind of person that loves detail over everything else, you may find these speakers a little bit dull sounding. Yesterday, a client visited, and he complained the sound is a bit too dull. Well, he loves very, very, very high amounts of detail. So much so that I think for a lot of us, we would find that a bit too much. It's too much in your face, but he happens to like that. So perfect example of why you need to hear it for yourself to see if you like them. The bass can be incredibly powerful and deep. If your room's too small, don't choose these speakers. Go with the 5s, go with the 3s. But these might be a little bit too much. You do have to have a room that's big enough, and you have to have electronics that are capable of some serious power if you like to crank. So that could be a bad. I don't know that it's a bad, but I threw that in there. It loves power, good power. And again, I'm not sure if this is a bad, but I threw it in there. And finally, physically, it's a bit tall. It's about 45 inches or so, 50 inches, whatever it is. So it does make a visual statement. Now, the good news is that with Sonus Faber, the shape is gorgeous and the finish is absolutely beautiful. So it's less of an issue if you've got the room for it. But be aware that it's not some shrinking violet. And then finally, it's a lot of money, 8,000 US dollars. A lot of money. Not a lot of people will necessarily be able to afford it. But if you can, I'd definitely check it out. Finally, ugly. Yeah, lots of money. And then the other thing is that right now it's hard to get. Sonus Fabers are back ordered with the Sonetto. Not easy to get. But that's a good sign of the testament of the success. All right, conclusion. In my opinion, the Sonetto 8s, G2s are a big slam dunk. And not because we sell it. I'm telling you the honest truth. The previous Sonetto 8 was very good. This is a whole level better, like a whole level better. It easily gives the Nova 3 or 2 a run for the money, and it's less money. So one of these days we're going to compare the two and give you my feedback. It's all I love the fact that for a lot of people this will be an affordable speaker, something you can reach for, that you don't have to spend that much more to get really, really good performance. I love the fact that it can play such a wide variety of genres so easily. There's really nothing I can think of that it cannot do well. And I like the fact that it's got this beautiful blend of neutrality with a slight bit of warmth, and yet neutral enough that it will easily showcase and show you all the different things in front of it, whether I was trying the Macintosh or the Accuphase or the Hagels. The difference between the Hagel H190 and the H400, very easily obvious because the speakers are so transparent. Not timid, but not reticent, but not forward either. It's a really good blend. It's almost like Goldilocks, just right. Yeah, I have to say this is a fantastic sounding speaker. And I love the fact that with Sonus Faber, given the volume that they do, you get superb quality engineering and build quality, finishing, without having to pay a premium for it. Because again, they've got the economies of scale. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please put your comments below, and we'll see you again next time. Take care.